So, the ego.
The
Very
ego.
interesting topic. And it is something which usually is, to my understanding, maybe misunderstood as being selfish, which I would say is the extreme form of the ego. The ego is given within or with our physical body to travel throughout this usual life we have in a human form. And the ego usually helps us to achieve things in life. And it identifies us. We usually identify with the roles, and it starts with the name we've been given, nationality, social impact, education, and all what you think you are. But in fact, that belongs to the illusion, living this life, living this dream, sleeping throughout this life. And most of us, we keep on sleeping, believing the dream that we are what we identify with. And we spend most of the time running either after education to achieve something, to have another title, another certificate. Look at me, this is me. Or, to achieve like possession, which gives you another status. So the ego loves to have things, to know things, and to believe this is me. And it creates massive amount of fear, because the fear of losing what you have, losing your identity, or someone would prove you not to be right. The ego loves to be right, always fights, and we can see this all over this world. People love to fight to be right, either in a religious sense or for other reason. They fight over possession, for money, for power. So that's all manipulative, ego-driven games. And it can go into the extreme, can become very violent. The ego cannot exist in the now. So that's something how we can identify if you are at the moment in your ego or you are your true self. So the ego always dwells either in the past, playing the game of blaming circumstances or people for how miserable or whatever your life is, and you always remain there. And it creates out of your past experience fear of the future. So you're either back there, searching for reason why you cannot achieve, or you cannot be this, or you don't have this, or whatsoever is disturbing you. And you go into the future, which is not created yet, and it creates massive amount of fear of what's coming next. And we try to control the future. So the ego loves to plan ahead, being in control what is coming. So that's fear-based. And it can become a prison where your true self is not in control anymore, but you're controlled by the ego, by fear and all the other emotion which comes along. Because, underneath anger or hatred or violence or jealousy is always the fear. Fear is always the base. So we have two opposites, which is love or fear. There's nothing in between, really. Everything else comes in between as little, other colors. But in fact, it's all fear-based, or there's ultimate love. Love simply is. And love is not identified by passion and heat and jealousy and you are me and da-da-da. If you do this, then I love you. If you don't, I don't love you anymore. That's the ego playing its game. Who wants something, who is searching something outside. The true love simply does exist. Like the sun is shining on every little thing without judgment. It simply is. It simply gives out of sheer joy. Ego-driven love always tries to get something out of relationship, tries to manipulate, tries to change the other person. If you would only be like this, then our relationship would be better. No, see the other person simply as a package as it is and make your decision. Is this the person for me? Yes or no? So self-love sometimes can also be misunderstood, because most of our problems does exist because we did not establish a proper self-love, self-care, and we search for it outside, for someone else to rescue us or to love us or to help us or to see us, to appreciate us, to give us approval. And this is also like I said, can go into extreme form. So self-love, when it is extreme, then we cut relationship because we blame others and we put me first. So the me first becomes also your centerpiece of your existence, and you're just about, oh, what happened to me back then? And now I have to heal that. And you only focus about this, you're just your own satellite. Sometimes, yes, we have to look and understand, this is my past, this did happen, but to understand I choose this life journey. This is my life purpose, and I'm here to heal it with true forgiveness. So the game of blaming others, even God, stops. And you simply are love, and you are radiating love. And you become a magnet for all circumstances and people to find you. It comes effortless. And the hunt from something from the outside simply stops because you enjoy life to the fullest. Because you understood, actually, that you are imprisoned. And you try to liberate yourself, but first of all, you need to understand that you are in a prison. And most of all, that you are your own prison. So there is no one giving you the key to set you free. It is yourself. If you manage to enjoy whatever simple action a day, for example, having a shower, without the I am going to have a shower. I put it aside. Just have the shower and enjoy the drops falling on you, and just be present. Then the ego is not. If you do have a shower and your mind goes back in time or already planning ahead, then you are not there. You are somewhere else, and you're allowing your mind running the show. So lack of meditation is always significant when the ego has chance to take over very easily and very tricky, especially the spiritual ego. Super tricky, because it just takes a different costume on, but it's still ego running the show. And it's very, very difficult to identify that, to understand, wow, that's just another form of the ego fooling you. So you see, the ego loves to be seen, loves to be appreciated, loves compliments, wants to achieve things, wants to control things, manipulative thoughts, fear-based. So that's some little steps how you can understand, okay, now I've fallen again in the ego trap.
Ego loves also these three things. Ego loves I, me, mine.
Yes.
So whenever you see that you are getting so indulged into I, so and so, me, this is me, we identify, and this is mine. Notice when these three facets, I, me, mine, getting stronger, you realize at some point that awareness, or you can call power of consciousness, has been taken away by you can call it as outside invader, but the invader is inside the I, me, mine. So ego is a way, a process which you got yourself out of your own awareness, getting identified by I, me, mine.
You see, ego is not your enemy. Like I said in the beginning, it is actually there, first of all, to help you achieve things in life, which is part of our purpose, because we incarnate in a human form to experience life. You see, the light on itself cannot experience itself being the ultimate light. So we tiny little sparks of this ultimate light decided to dense our frequency and our energy and make it slower and slower until it became matter, until we became a human form. And we have to forget where we are coming from. Otherwise, we would never believe in this dream, Maya, the illusion. So the curtain to forget is closing usually ultimately when we enter school, because we have to believe that this is all real and our heads sort of become like a box and we have to identify. So the ego is given to navigate through this life and to help us to achieve. But if we suffered from a early childhood trauma, and most of us did, and we carry these kind of traumatic experience even in the slightest form, it doesn't mean something very serious did really happen, but you brought it as a frequency from past life. You see, everything is frequency and energy. And it is like a code you have in your mental field, and you are radiating this information towards the outside. So you attract circumstances and situation and people, including your parents, into your life who decided, yes, we are going to trigger this particular soul wound again. So you can work on this. When this happens, the ego started to exist and came in front to protect that vulnerable, helpless child and created coping mechanism, patterns, how you could survive the situation. So somehow it is an escapism we created to dwell into fantasy worlds, not to be there, not to feel it. Or we needed to become super strong, so we cut off our emotion and we became like a rock and we started to control everything and we planned ahead to be safe. This is actually when you lost the connection to your true self and you became identified with the personality which had to be created to help you to survive. As a child, it was okay, but as an adult, you are grown up, you can protect yourself with true self-care and self-love and free yourself from, for example, pleasing others or helping others all the time to justify your existence. So the ego becomes an obstacle because it is misleading you. And it perceives each and every situation just with that same emotion you had back then. And it brings it up again. That's why some people, they blast like a volcano if a certain topic is just slightly triggered and the other person is like, whoa, what's going on with you? Because it's all over the place. And it's not appropriate to what really happened now. But all the pain from back then is coming and the ego starts playing the show and reacts. Ego is reactive. It doesn't give you a pause to understand what is really happening. It just reacts. It fires away. And this can destroy you, and it can destroy relationship, or it can even prevent you from even having a relationship because you're running away all the time.
See, mind understand that if something is disturbing me, I need to eliminate. So we identify that as enemy. We identify that as something I need to clear. Understand this way that these energies are within us, right? These energies are within us. It is us who has to learn how to channel them. Sexuality is within us. Doesn't mean sex is bad. Doesn't mean you're going to eliminate it. Doesn't mean you're going to renounce it and I'm going to be celibate. Or doesn't mean anger is bad and I have to start, suppressing down my anger. It is how we channel them. That's why meditation come in as awareness, creating consciousness.
You see, pure consciousness established by, for example, Kundalini Yoga, meditation, listening or singing to mantras, pranayam, like controlling your breath, because that's the energy, life force we've been given first, so we can be alive. This is something which helps you to understand, wow, is this now my true self? Or is it the ego running the show? And you're like just putting yourself into the position of being the observer of what's going on, instead of identifying and reacting. You can simply allow people to talk whatever they want to do or behave in a certain way. And of course, you are there to protect yourself if you need to. It doesn't mean that you are like allowing everyone to step on you and to use and abuse you. No, it's simply you make very conscious choices, but still you remain in that awareness. And love is your guiding force and you are fearless You're not afraid anymore. You're not acting out of that fear and pain because you know the truth that this is just Maya, and your ultimate or infinite soul is just traveling for this lifetime, changing form until each and every experience is going to be seen and understood and experienced from all kind of angle. And that's what it is. And only love and true forgiveness can help us to, lift our spirits up and to elevate from simply being locked or stuck in the lower chakras, which is about money, power, sex, having, being, and many, many young souls are here down on this earth to simply experience these qualities, which is nothing to be judged. It's just what it is. And we have some rare elderly souls who either have the capacity to wake up from the dream, to liberate themselves, to understand, and to befriend the ego as part of human existence. And we are not fighting it or kill it or whatsoever. We just understand it is part of me, but my true self here is in charge of what's happening. And my ultimate truth and my beacon in this world of dualities is the awakening, is the awareness. So you're not longer ahankar, the ego. You are connected with your true self.